Good morning, friends. Welcome, and I hope that you were able that time to hear the noodles. I would hate to think of you guys sitting there in silence again, as that's what happened last time. Oh no! Welcome again, friends, to the Saturday morning-ish edition of Unintended Consequences, version episode 33. Illuminati confirmed. And the C word. Oh dear. But it may not be what you're thinking. It comes on the heels of, I did an unscheduled program, the Icarus Paradox, the unintended consequences of growth. And if you were here for that, then you may be thinking it's the four-letter C word that no one should ever say. That's right. We're going to do it. What is it? Get the kids out of the room because somebody brought up the word as we talked about joining up together. That's the cult. What were you thinking? Bad people. Oh dear. Yes, that's right. It's the C word. So there you go. Again, welcome to everybody. And I'll go back through here. Globebusters and Winston and Zero Run in West Texas, Cami, Flat Accord Music, Rex George, Justin, Young Love, Paul Levy, Nachiketa, Sue Finelli, and Don, informally help, all the usual folks. What did you say? I can't hear you. I have an ear infection. I know. The jokes aren't going to get any better, I promise. Okay, so welcome, friends, and I'm so glad that you're here. And yes, I am going to just briefly today, kind of just Ceiling Fan Man, I caught you. By the way, Ceiling Fan Man, I want you to tell Mrs. Ceiling Fan Man a special thank you from the Great Baldini for the wonderful Mantequilla Verde she provided for me. It's delicious in my coffee, and I am so grateful for that, as I am grateful for each of you today. And I hope that you've gotten a chance to get to I guess I wouldn't say the last episode, but sort of that intermediate episode of the Icarus Paradox. And of course, if you don't know what that is, the Icarus Paradox, essentially it is, it's a business term. It's come to identify, let's see if I can just bring it up here. It's come to identify, will it show? Here we go. Yeah. That what happens to companies whose they have a stellar business success or a good business success, at the same time they crash and burn for the same reasons, the same things that Mantequilla Verde, it's green butter. You should know this, Louis. Come on, Luis. Anyway, so yes, the Icarus Paradox is that some of the times the things that can make you successful are the same things that bring down, give you trouble, right? So again, if let's say you make a handmade item, and as a result, it becomes very popular. Right. So the more orders you get for that, it takes time to make those handmade items. And so if you're unable to keep up with the demand, right, then your reputation suffers. Right. And so if you try to bring in more people, there's that infrastructure, there's the infrastructure crossover where you simply don't have enough resources to do it. Right. And so it's all those same things. I'm sure you've seen it happen. In the industry I was in, we called it the $200 million problem because it was right between about 187 million and 192 million of gross annual revenue that you began to see this company struggle with this, where they couldn't keep up with the orders, and in order to try to fulfill the orders, again, they either had to curtail their orders to keep within their core skill set, or they had to try to staff up, and some went public and had unintended consequences occur with that. So related that to what sort of happened here and with the unintended consequences, and sort of how did we get here, and what are the next steps, and part of the next steps, and again, I was going to say, I've got to be honest, I always am, but this is sort of the transparent portion, right? Is that part of that is sort of, how do we make a living doing what we love to do? And I certainly, I don't ever want to be on the backs of somebody else or ask for something that twist anybody's arm. But one of the things that has, come up, and I've been nudged and been open about this, is to leave the situation that we're in here in one of the most expensive cities in the country you can live in. That's Seattle. And even though we're kind of, we're not in Seattle proper, we're in a tiny little place. It's for seniors only. I mean, we got all the discounts going as much as we can, and it's still ridiculously expensive for a really tiny space. And again, I do my job as a consultant, but I don't often feel fulfilled in that. And then this came along, and suddenly I feel very fulfilled in joining with you guys and being a part of this community and want to do more of it. But there's that uncomfortable position I can't really jump into full time, although I am trying to make that adjustment and sort of put one foot out and see how we go. We talked a little bit about that, got some great ideas from people, and I took them all under advisement, right? Everybody had very different ideas, but all of them had merit. And so there are reasons for doing different things. And I think your help was crucial in helping me kind of better understand how to move forward in this. And so I think the next things are going to be, Islink 717 says, and come to Cammy's. Well, that may actually be happening. That is part of the thing about perhaps leaving the situation we're at here to seek out not only lower cost of living, but perhaps, right, this idea of communal living, or the other C word, and it's the best one I've heard so far, congregational. I like that. Some people have said that our little group here that meets is sort of like an online church, and while I don't completely hate it, it's a little uncomfortable for me. Years ago, my wife said, "Oh, you ought to, you have a very different take on spirituality, and you ought to, start talking to people." I'm like, "What? Start a church?" Like, that's the last thing I want to do. She's like, "Yeah, I see the problem." It's the catch-22, and so it is again largely through her influence as well as just through some other events that we are here together. And I never really liked again the name of the church idea, but congregation. I love that because we're congregating. We're just getting together, right? It's congregational, and I love that idea, and I'm very comfortable with that. So the other C word, congregation, right? But this is my family, and I've really come to see you guys as my family and want to spend more time with you. So in order to do that, looking at some different ways to approach that, and so part of that, I think. Well, let's see. All right. So we have, the definition of a cult, and I suppose I could bring this up because it's funny. The reason I use that word, not only to drive the trolls crazy, but during that unscheduled episode, right, we had people going, cult, cult, cult. It's funny, right? People are going to think we're weird anyway, right? So we look up what a cult is: a system of religious veneration and devotion directed toward a particular figure or object. A relatively small group of people having religious beliefs or practices regarded by others as strange or sinister. Well, I don't know about religious, but certainly you could say that our views are viewed by others now as rather strange or even sinister, right? We're considered to be selfish because we won't put on the face diaper, that sort of thing. So I don't mean, in the early days, Christians were, the word Christian was really meant as an epithet. Oh, you little Jesuses. And they took it, instead of as an epithet, they took it as a badge of honor. And so that's how it became the Christian church. Now, again, one of the big things Jesus did was say, hey, let's do away with that religion thing. And people said, hey, that's a great idea. Let's make a religion out of it. So we got that going, which is nice. In any case, so yes, Tommy Payne, I am 100% down with all that. I love you guys. And so when am I coming to Norway? Well, hopefully soon, or at least hopefully that we can get a situation where we can all get together. And again, I can't make any promises, and this is not, for those of you familiar with the phrase, this is not like Beartaria, I don't think. Again, certainly if there is a cult going on, I don't want it to be the cult of Baldini. It's not really about me. And in fact, if you will indulge me for a moment, this morning as I was making coffee, this came to mind. And so if you'll indulge me for a moment, I came up with, I don't know, kind of it's a parody, a parable, not a parody, but a parable, if you will. So let's see if I can get a little this here. And so find this. Let's see. So this would be the parable of the chef, and this came to me as I was making coffee this morning. So I'd like to share this with you if I could. There once lived in a land not so very far away, nor so unlike the very place you're in right now. There was a man, not unlike you, who loved food, and oh, did he love it. He was not particularly a gluttonous man. He wasn't given to eating so much of it as he was just to delight in it. Its many flavors and textures, and a diversity of combinations of mouthfeel and balance, and the seemingly endless possibilities in the successful marriage of sweet and sour, and salt and bitter and umami, all, when regarded with reverence and dignity and curiosity and respect, could all be brought together and unfolded again into an infinite kaleidoscope of culinary landscapes, and oh, did he love it so. Much of his time became subject to these labial longings, and he began to investigate and experiment, and can often find him spending the weekend in search of the perfect omelet, or spending days on end exploring the particular and peculiar qualities of pâté à choux. And he wasn't selfish or stingy in these pursuits, or ungrateful. In fact, he often paused to think how remarkable it was that a creator would make food so sensual. It could have just been chlorophyll. Just go out in the sun and get your nutrients. But instead, there's a kind of sensual beauty in food. And so he was grateful for this, and he began to draw as much delight from sharing these food findings as he did in creating them. Each was different and singular in presentation, but there grew a familiarity in them. And watching people unaccustomed to such complex and at times obscure flavor profiles, as their vocabulary of palate suddenly became aware of entirely new languages. It was always became more fulfilling than the meal itself or even the task. It was an act of service and ultimately an act of love. But as it often happens, people become busy and distracted until his once limited circle of friends, suffering yet further attrition by virtue of his spending nearly all of his time in the kitchen, as well as the ever-increasing proliferation of his menu, meant that the more often he cooked extravagant, beautiful meals, the more likely he was to eat them in solitude, no one to share the experience with but himself, and perhaps his own imagination. One day, whilst walking in the park and considering this dilemma, he noticed how many people there were in the park that didn't seem to have anywhere to go. And as he observed them more closely, it suddenly came to him that they lived there. They were homeless. And one of his first and primary loves, of course, is food. And it came to him very quickly how awful it must be to not have any means whatsoever to do much more than basic sustenance under such primitive conditions, if they were able to have the resources at all to even acquire the food. As he was not a man of great means, he knew he couldn't provide much, but such as he was able, he thereafter began sharing his meals with the folks he found in the park. It was very few at first, just the curious and those who were starving. But after a fairly short time, he became a welcome regular, with him sharing his culinary creations with those who deeply appreciated it, and those with a welcome chance of a hot, delicious meal, and even more important, a moment of dignity where they were seen as human beings rather than an infestation and as refuse. Well, this went on for some time in what can only become described as a mutually beneficial working arrangement, each bringing what they had and getting what they needed. Until one day, the farmer's market the man frequented to get his groceries was closed, due to unforeseen circumstances, of course. And as he wasn't keen on spending his hard-won earnings at any corporate giant, he simply returned home and decided he'd just need to keep it simple, and just make something basic for himself until he could restock the pantry in earnest. He would miss the folks at the park who had become his regular mealtime companions, of course, but his personal needs didn't really matter at a time like this. It wasn't about him, you see. And then, in a flash, in just an instant, it became clear to him it wasn't really about him at all. In fact, it never was. You see, his love for food, his prior loneliness, and his solitude all were by design, you see. All serving to bring him to a place of serving the ultimate guest, as the Creator needed someone willing and able to answer the petitions of the hungry in the park. So he quickly made up some fresh pasta, as quickly as one can anyway, and headed to the park with the most satisfied smile you have ever seen. A very thinly veiled allegory, but it does, I think, pretty well describe the place that I have come to here with you. It never was really about me at all anyway, as I began to consider what to do and how to make this all work. What I should do I do less? Should I do more? How should I approach this? It came to a place where I realized, again, it came to me that this never really was had much to do with me at all, really. It's about you and how to better serve and be of benefit. So as long as it continues to be a benefit, then we'll continue to do this. So as we move forward then, I have come up with a few ideas, again, with the help of others, and we'll be exploring those over the coming couple of weeks in terms of, how we can, it's all of these the sort of details of money, right? You can find it. There's a Patreon page that I think is not. It may be published, it may not. It's in the channel description today, but it's not complete. I'll do a video for it, sort of explain it, and then I'll do the levels, and we'll figure out exactly what's happening there. So this is where, I guess, where the rubber meets the road, and so I'll continue to cook and right, and do what I can, and to bring what I'm able, and as long as it continues to be of value, we'll continue to do that. And I do need to spend some time toward the end of this year. I want to wrap up some of the work that I've begun with the Awakening Project, and dig a little bit deeper into trying to put that into at least something that I can show the results of the work. There's a lot of it I probably won't be able to get to right now, but at least show you that, I haven't been sitting on my thumbs and doing nothing, that there is some value there. And as we come into phase 2 with some specific questions, we'll add that as well. So, but I do want to try to wrap that up. And so you'll find over the remaining weeks of this year, just about 3 weeks remaining, the shows may be, and I hate saying show because it's not really what I have in mind, but they might be a little shorter, thinner in content, because I want to spend a bit more time working on the Awakening Project, or at least put it to a place where I think it's a good stopping point to begin phase 2 and then wrap some of that data back into it. I also want to spend more time doing some editing on some conversations I've had with a few people. I owe a huge debt of gratitude, and again, it's been a very long time now. Seven Ravenwolf had a conversation with her a number of months ago. I had to do some editing on that, and I do want to share that with you, as well as some conversations I've had with other people that were kind of short and didn't really fill up a show. But I want to begin spending a bit more time in having conversations with you guys, right, and your journeys, and sharing that, because so much of this is understanding that we are not alone, and to strengthen and develop this community. And I think there's also going to be in this coming year, apparently, right, you'll hear more about building this community for real in a very visible and tangible way. So long as the doors open, and I'm trusting that they will, you people, right? You people, my family, that's who I mean. But as long as the doors open, and I'm trusting that they will, that we find a means by we might get together and corporately become a congregation in a very real and tangible sense, and live together. So if some people want to call that a cult, whatever, I don't pretend to be the leader of it. I'll be the head cheerleader, chief cook, and bottle washer, if you will. I'll help organize things. But again, it's not about me, and it never was. It really is about you. And so those of you who are interested in that, come along the journey. Those of you who are not able to or not interested in that, I don't think there'll be any ostracization. We won't turn you into an ostrich, I promise. No, but nobody will be left out or left behind. This is not going to become an exclusive club like that. Although there may be a separate, kind of stream and group for those who are particularly interested in that. Just so we don't bore the living crap out of everybody else. So that's something that I'm considering as well, with sort of a members channel thing that is specific to that sort of thing. And I want to invite a few people to be a part of that, just because I know they're already interested in it. So we'll see where that goes, right? But I do want to try to move forward as quickly, but with momentum, stepping forward into the possibility. Look, I'm not naive. I fully am aware that no matter what we do, right, this world is a changing, and eventually they're not going to want to let us do this. But so far as we're able, at least right now, let's try, right? Will I serve Kool-Aid? Well, coffee, but not the Jim Jones grape variety. It's not a knockout punch. Again, just not into that. But what I am into is finding good people who make me feel alive. It's not about how I feel. It's just good people who want to get together and try to do something of value, do something to benefit ourselves, and to not be trapped in a world that we don't like, and not be part of a system that is neither beneficial to us nor do we like to be in it. And this is the ultimate, I think, pursuit of happiness. So whatever you want to call it, right? I don't have a name for it. Cult, right? Congregation, whatever. I don't care. What I do care about is using the rest of the time that I have on this plane of existence to share time, whatever time I have left, with people who are good, right? I don't have time anymore for people who are not worth my time. And I don't have the stamina to try to convert everybody, right? And it's never been my thing, is try to get people to think the way I do. It just doesn't interest me. But what I do see is when I see other people who begin to think similar to the way I do, and they all got here through different circumstances and through different pathways, that tells me something, right? And that tells me, if we're all on the search for truth and we get very close to one another in that process, that tells me something about the nature of it. So the gathering, you bet, whatever you want to call it. And again, I realize that for those who are perhaps in far-flung places in Finland and Europe and that sort of stuff, this may be maybe a disappointment or a little jealous or something. I understand that, right? Because I always am. I was for people going to like their conferences and that sort of stuff, because I wasn't able to go. So I get it, but I encourage more of it. In fact, there's already, I don't want to say a conflict, but there's already a pull in two directions. There's a place, here on the West Coast that is kind of opening up the idea that we could do it here. Then there's also, I kind of feel a nudge toward the Southeast and the Carolinas. I don't know, maybe both could happen, maybe all over the place. I don't know, right? Because I don't think I'm leading this charge. I think I'm just kind of trying to follow along where the breadcrumbs go. But it does seem like the breadcrumbs are leading to take a step in this direction. I have done worse things in my life, right? I've made worse decisions. How about that? I am very interested, not only in the concept of trying to get together, but I would like to create some forward momentum to that end. And so as we move into the new year and begin to set up where I can spend a little bit more time with this and have a Patreon thing, I think I'm okay with the idea, and I want to talk to some other people that I trust to try to set up some sort of, group, a small group, guiding, steering committee, whatever you want to call it, without getting into politics, because I'm not into that. But people who I know are into this, who are good people, that we can start kind of, looking for property, looking at possibilities. The poppy cult. Ooh. Mark. We may have to trade Trademark that, the poppy cult. Oh man, that's good stuff. So I'm in too, Allison. I'm totally in, and so that's what I want to see, and I'm committed to the idea. Again, it's very premature because I don't really have a lot of I don't really have everything lined up, and that's I usually wouldn't say anything unless I had it all worked out. I go, here's the plan, but I'm just letting you know as it kind of occurs to me. You've heard me talk about it over I don't know last several weeks that this is really kind of nudging me, and I really want to push forward a little further with this. So that's kind of where we're at. Is that I'm going to spend the next couple of weeks. The programs will probably be a little bit shorter. I won't drop any for now, but I will continue. I will just kind of keep them very short, straightforward, because they do take some time to put together. I know that seems the opposite of what I said I was going to do, right? Which is do more. But in order to kind of complete some stuff and put my feet down pretty strongly and get some momentum moving into the coming year, I'm going to just do these a little bit very briefly, just to keep the communion going, right? The congregation. Nachiketa, I would love for you to help, and I want everybody to be a part of this, right? And even if you only, again, kind of do it vicariously, but also learn through the process of doing it around you, right? If you can start it there, maybe in the Himalayas, right? You could have this. I mean, I assume you already kind of, from what I know of you, Nachiketa, right? You've already kind of got a little community going there, but it's very small, very few people, because by limitation of there's very few people. How about a convoy? We got a mighty convoy trucking through the night. All right, David, I agree, man. You guys are the best. So this is what I'm into. Keep it in mind. Email me. You know how to get in touch with me. Email is always in the show notes. You can hit me up, and I'll probably figure out, maybe I'll even do an email address, the poppy cult at gmail.com. I love it. Mark, that's awesome, man. I'm going to trademark that. I'm going to have it cross-stitched up and put on a pillow. Oh man, it's good stuff. So anyway, that's so there you go. I don't know that I have much more today. I wanted to bring this up, the C word, and I wanted to sort of just share this idea that it occurred to me, right, that this is not really about. As I backed up and looked at it and went, how do I make this work for me? I just realized it's not really about me, right? And it's I got put here for a reason, which is to help other people, and I'm not only willing to do that, but it's like that's what I was born to do, is to support and help other people and encourage them along their journey. And as long as I'm able to help others do that, that's why I'm here. And so there you go. And so I'll follow where Dad leads, and as long as I'm listening closely, I think we're going in a good direction. But of course, I want everybody to talk to and listen to Dad on their own, right? So it's not just coming from me. So there's that. But you guys are awesome, right? Thank you so much for being a part of all of this and this journey that we're on. And I'm actually really, again, in some ways, the crazier it gets out there, the more excited I am, because it's like, well, it's not letting up, right? It really is going to this crazy place. And so that tells me something, right? That gives me the encouragement that this is going into a place where we can be effective. We don't just have to watch. We can be a part of it. And I hear you, Ted Summer. They do seem to be calling. So I'm willing to go wherever Dad takes me. I'll tell you that. So, but I'm packing my bag now, waiting for the taxi to show up, right? Because I don't know when and how and where, but I do know that I'm getting ready. So I'll do that. I guess that's what I have. And with that, again, I don't really have a lot today. I appreciate everybody coming, and I don't want to leave you short, but I didn't really have much today. And in the spirit of trying to get a whole bunch of stuff done, again, I think I'll just, we'll wrap it here pretty quick. Let me get to some tunes I can come up with to leave you guys with. But I want you to, spend time. Join me again tomorrow morning, right? Ancient Wisdom. We'll spend a little time with Dad. But I just wanted to, for now, put out there that thank you so much for the insights that you gave me. Everybody was really super positive from the unscheduled Icarus Paradox episode and what that looked like. You guys are just, again, amazing. And thank you so much to everybody who has already been a part of this by contributing some of your time or your finances or your energy or anything. And I'm so grateful. And those who, again, like Dawn, have really given her personal emotional energy to it, right? And always promotes it, and Sue Finelli, and I just it really touches me. But those of you who are here all the time and you're ready to go at the start of every stream, it's just amazing to me, and I love you guys so much. It's really touching, and so I can't say thank you enough. And so something I want to do, right, is help coordinate this. I hear so many people talk about, right, how that much they want this and how isolated they feel and so alone. It's like, guys, we can do this, right? We're not dumb. We got so much talent here, and we got the willingness, the desire, and it's not really so much about money, right? And I've picked up before that if Dad gives you the vision, he'll give you the provision, right? So I can trust that. I'm not a person of means, of course. I don't really have, not only no money, we're poor and behind a bit, but I don't, somebody asked, personal questions. I started to answer. I haven't finished that, but basically the idea, somebody asked about the situation. No, we don't own our home. We sold the house, back when things went sideways. We're renting. We don't hold any debt, though, not really. So it's just basically hand to mouth. We don't have a lot of resources. We have a tiny bit of savings, but everything's paid for. Cars paid for. It's like all this stuff is paid for. We've been paying cash for stuff forever. It's just the way I go. Don't have any credit card debt or anything like that. So we're free to do that. So we don't we're not tied down in that sense. Just the only thing that ties us down is some just medical stuff for Madeline, my wife, and very few things for me in that regard. But and of course, I have to be you have to be in a situation to continue to support the family. So whatever means that whatever way that is, I'm happy to do whatever, dig ditches, shovel poop, I don't care. And I have a number of skills, so I'm happy to throw that in. So sweat equity, sure, I'm all over that. I don't have any, a lot of money to put in it, but I do have an enthusiasm, and as much as I have a reach to reach other people who may be willing to join this, I'm willing to contribute that. So I'm in. If you guys are in with the same kind of stuff, right, can bring whatever you have to bear, and let's do this. If you're interested in that, I know I am. Right. And I feel like it's time. I feel like it's time to do this. And after, much consideration early on about, it'd be ideal to expatriate and leave the country, as great as that would be. And I think ultimately that's going to be what's necessary. Starting there is probably risky because, at least I'm new to it. And so if we're going to make mistakes, I'd rather make them here than, 3,500 miles away. Nobody speaks the language, right? That'd be awkward. So yeah, let's see what we could do about a bunch of small places, and kind of figuring this out, learning as much as we can about self-sufficiency. So if you join in, if that's your thing, gardening, right? Joining with that. My wife is a sewist, and she's really excellent at sewing and teaching other people that skill of sewing. She's a textiles expert, so all the way to spinning and weaving. She knows about it. She hasn't really done much of it because we don't have a spinning wheel and a loom, but she knows about it enough to really kind of get started on it. So everybody, and again, maybe Montana, maybe a bunch of different places. That's the thing, right? And maybe we should, I don't know, get in touch with the Bear folks in Beartaria and see what, just see what, I don't know. Here's what I'm saying is, from my perspective, whoever Dad brings is the right people, right? I guess that's my position on it, right? Is that whoever needs to be here will be here. They'll show up. That's how it's going to be. So I love seeing all the I'm in, right? And is it scary? Fuck yeah, right? Because I don't know. I don't know much about it, but I feel like it's time, right? And I just I trust, and I'm excited about being with people who are awesome, and whatever that means. I think that we can certainly be self-sufficient. It shouldn't take much. If we're good people, we won't argue and fight too much, right? Yeah, Ceiling Fan Man. I know Mrs. Ceiling Fan Man is starting to sew. See, it's just awesome. So anyway, I'm excited to take the next steps. Is it again scary? I don't know, a little bit, but it's also so exciting. It feels a bit like those who moved west, the pioneers, right? Feels a little bit like that, but I don't know. Let's see what happens. And again, if you don't feel left out, right? If, for example, I end up in the Southeast or something and you're like, oh, but I'm supposed to be in Montana or I'm supposed to be in the Pacific Northwest. Maybe you are supposed to be there, right? Just because I'm supposed to be somewhere doesn't necessarily mean that everybody has to be in exactly the same place, but we can all support one another. And if there's, again, if there's a way to do this in numerous places with a sort of consistency to it, I'd be down with that too, right? Whatever. Be excellent to each other. Way to go, Nachiketa, right? That's what it looks like to me, is groups of people who, just like Jersey. I don't even know about Jersey Shore. I'm sure it's a great joke, but I don't know anything about. I don't know anything about Jersey Shore. I'm so sorry. In any case, rather. So this is this is where I want to go. Is the next steps is this next year, get on the horse and try to see what happens, see where this all leads. But the fact that Madeline's in, right, given her typical view on people, right, she has a severe social anxiety, and so typically that would be the thing she would at least be interested in, is being kind of a tight-knit group of folks, but she's so in to this. So, yeah, that was a miracle in and of itself, and I didn't bug her or pester her about it. She just came to me and said, "Hey, I'm in that whole that whole hippie commune thing. Yeah, sign me up." I'm like, right on. So there you go. And so I guess it's the poppy cult. Is that what we're going with for now? I really like it. I really do. Let's see, what will I do here? I'll do, how about this? So I'll leave you guys with this. This would be circa 1993-ish, I think, with Joe Ray, who is, I guess I should mention that real quick. Timeless Music Journey, is that what you were going by these days, Joe? So yeah, Joe and I are going to try to get together and record some things that we did not, I'm sure you guys have heard the story. Joe and I, way back in the day, 1980s, early mid-1990s, we played music together for a very long time with another friend of ours, Jim, who's now passed. We wrote a bunch of songs. Some of them were pretty good. Some of them, the ones that 4 or 5 of them are what basically all I've got. And those were just rehearsal tracks that I recorded in the very early 2000s. But we never really recorded much of anything, unfortunately. And so we would just like to, for posterity, kind of record some of those things. We lost heart for doing it after Jim passed. It was just very unexpected and really sad the way we lost him. And we were just the Three Musketeers, right? 3-piece band for the longest time. 15 years, and so it was really a difficult time for us, and so we just kind of lost heart and set that stuff aside, and I began working really heavily in the manufacturing end of the music industry and that sort of stuff. So just kind of got distracted. Well, now that we're older, it just seemed like a good idea to try to get some of this stuff down, and then also, of course, maybe some new ideas, and then there's the noodling stuff. So. But anyway, for Joe, I want to try to get him set up with just a little recording thing, so we can bounce some tracks back and forth until we can get together and actually do some recording in person. But so we can do some rehearsal stuff. So I'm going to try to put together a couple $100 for him for that. But and so I'm kind of thinking, if you guys are anybody that's interested in that particular set of music, the stuff that you hear at the end of the shows, that's from Joe and I usually mention that. If you're interested in that kind of stuff and would like to hear a CD of, again, we had about 100 songs. We'll probably not be able to record nearly that many, but if that's something you're interested in, you'd like to maybe pre-order that, let me know, and then we can kind of get an idea of what we can put together. But I want to try to grabble together, right, a little bit of dough for Joe, so I can get him set up there. Again, just wouldn't take more than a few $100 to get him going in something that's usable, so we can start passing tracks back and forth and getting that going. And then I do want to be responsive to those people who are interested in some like noodling stuff. And again, that would probably be part of the Patreon thing or some deal like that. Again, I want to, we'll figure it out, but we'll put it all together. That'll be more of that coming with the Patreon thing. Again, I'm very bad about asking people for stuff, but I'm very good about trying to provide value. So with that, I'll leave you with this one. It's called More Than I've Ever Seen, from about 1992, 1993, something like that. So again, I appreciate you guys so much, and I'm so excited to be on this journey with you. You are amazing, and just really kudos to you, and clap yourself on the back right now just for being awesome, being a part of this community. And again, your presence is the present, right? But thank you so much for being here. And Ceiling Fan Man, you want one? Okay, I'll put you down for 2. All right. So again, thanks guys ever so much for being a part of this. And I'll see you again tomorrow morning, 7 o'clock. Ancient Wisdom for a Modern World. I hope to see you there.
Still burns inside with a light that I cannot hide. I walk on the edge of time, ride the winds of destiny. I hear the thunders coming, bringing me to my knees, like nothing I've ever seen. In my mind I hear the voices calling. In my mind I see the planets collide. In my mind I feel the end beginning. It's like waking up from a dream. It's more than I've ever seen. Shadows fall like angels' tears, leaves darkness on every shore. The season's morning light inspires me no more. Seems more than I can endure. If I walk this final mile, will love be waiting there? If my feet are on solid ground, can I reach my dreams in